It was a calm Sunday morning in Paris. The sun glimmered off the glass pyramid of the Louvre. Tourists strolled, cameras clicked, and guards walked their usual rounds. Everything seemed ordinary. Within moments, the unthinkable would unfold. 4 men, armed with nothing but a hydraulic lift, an angle grinder, and ruthless precision, would vanish into history. In just 7 minutes, they would seize nearly €88 million worth of French crown jewels. The Louvre isn't just a museum, it's a symbol of France. Built in the 12th century as a fortress, transformed into a royal palace, and later opened to the public after the Revolution, it has stood as a guardian of art and history for centuries. It has also known theft before. In 1911, a young Italian worker walked out with the Mona Lisa, shocking the world and turning a painting into an icon almost overnight. That incident reshaped museum security. But even a century of safeguards couldn't stop this daring 2025 robbery. No one knew the robbers' real names. To the outside world, they were ghosts. A small crew of professional thieves who had never been caught or even seen. Rumors said they'd pulled off smaller heists across Europe, testing systems, learning patterns, and vanishing before anyone noticed. Each job was just preparation for something bigger, something that would make history. And that moment was about to arrive. They didn't act on impulse. This was months in the making. The crew spent countless hours studying the Louvre, learning every routine, every weak spot, every blind corner. They knew exactly when to strike and exactly how to disappear. On that quiet morning, they showed up dressed as construction workers, pushing a hydraulic lift toward the museum's western wing like they belonged there. At 9:30 a.m., 2 masked men began their ascent to the second floor, calm, silent, and terrifyingly precise. One held an angle grinder, the other a radio. Outside, 2 more waited on powerful scooters, engines idling. The plan was set, and the action was about to begin. The lift stopped quietly beside the second-floor balcony, where centuries of French history shimmered behind the glass. For a brief moment, the men stood still. Then, the silence broke. The sharp whine of the angle grinder. Within seconds, alarms erupted. Red lights flashed. The guards, startled but bound by protocol, couldn't engage. Their first duty was to protect the visitors, not confront armed intruders. And the thieves knew that. Inside the gallery, their movements were fast, but controlled, almost rehearsed. They bypassed the Regent Diamond, the museum's most famous gem, far too iconic to sell. Instead, they went for smaller pieces, ones that could vanish into the black market without a trace. Diamond tiaras, sapphire necklaces, jeweled brooches, treasures once worn by Napoleon's empresses, now snatched from their glass displays. In less than 7 minutes, it was over. Nearly €100 million in royal jewelry had disappeared. As they fled, one crown slipped from their grasp, hitting the floor. But they didn't stop. They rode the lift down, jumped onto waiting scooters, and vanished into the maze of Parisian streets. Before anyone could react, they just disappear. The Louvre was supposed to be one of the safest places in the world. Hundreds of security cameras watched every corner. Alarms guarded every display, and trained staff patrolled the halls day and night. But that morning proved that even the strongest systems have weak points. Years of budget cuts and fewer staff had quietly opened small cracks in the museum's defenses. Cracks the thieves knew exactly how to use. When the alarms went off, the guards reacted instantly, but they couldn't do much. Their orders were clear: never confront intruders when visitors are nearby. Safety came first, and that hesitation gave the thieves the time they needed. Every move inside the gallery was quick and calculated. They didn't waste a second. They took only what they knew they could sell, leaving behind anything that might slow them down. Within hours, forensic teams swarmed the Louvre. DNA from gloves, helmets, and discarded tools provided the first leads. Investigators traced phone signals, mapped potential escape routes, and pieced together the suspects' plans. By October 26th, the net tightened. At Charles de Gaulle Airport, one suspect attempted to flee the country. Officers moved silently, arresting him before he could board a plane. Later, another suspect was caught while trying to leave for Mali. Step by step, investigators closed in on the rest of the group, but the jewels themselves? Still missing. Experts fear they've already been dismantled, gold melted, diamonds separated, making them nearly impossible to recover. The theft wasn't just financial, it was cultural. A strike at France's history and identity. Every decision, every misstep, every flaw in museum security contributed to this moment. 7 minutes of carefully orchestrated chaos were enough to rewrite centuries of protection. The Louvre has stood for centuries. It survived kings and revolutions, wars and chaos, and even past thefts that became part of history. But this heist proved something simple and unsettling. No place is truly untouchable. All it takes is someone who knows where the weaknesses are and who's bold enough to use them. Will the stolen jewels ever be found? Will every member of the crew face justice? No one really knows. But one thing is certain, in just 7 minutes, a new chapter was written in the long and mysterious history of the Louvre.